Hello and welcome to this extended edition of the Daily Report for this Thursday afternoon, October 27. Today, we begin with an 80-minute live coverage of the emergency economic meeting to be presided over by President Yoon Suk-yeol, who launched the meetings back in July as part of efforts to better address the host of economic challenges facing the country. Now, there have been 10 such sessions thus far, and today's talks mark the 11th. We will come back to you afterwards.
Please face the flag in front of you. Allegiance to the flag.
바로 모두 자리에 앉아 주시기 바랍니다.
Please take your seats.
지금부터 제11차
Let us now begin the 11th emergency meeting on economic affairs and public livelihoods. First of all, we will hear from the President.
여러분 반갑습니다.
It's very good to see you this afternoon.
11차
Today we are here for the 11th emergency meeting on economic affairs and public livelihoods. And in this session, we would like to discuss how we could vitalize the economy. So vitalizing the economy and the necessary strategies, and we will review the necessary strategies in today's meeting, and this is the way forward for this meeting today. Right now, globally, we are witnessing a high interest rates, and therefore, our financial market volatility is very high. Moreover, the real economy is going through great uncertainties. To this end, my government, starting from its inauguration, we have highlighted the importance of abiding by the just rules of law, and we want to make the market to go on its feet based on such rules, and the government will also like to respond to any contingencies, including any risks in the real economic sector, and we aimed to stabilize these uncertainties, and we really wanted the economy to be focused by the initiative led by the private sector so that we could seek growth, and also this has been done so far by my government. First of all, we managed through the management of the prices, and we wanted to seek stability in the people's livelihoods. So this was our utmost priority when it came to economic policies. And in response to the high interest rates, as for households and corporations, as well as some financial institutions, we wanted to prevent any default on these organizations. We provided support measures as well as measures to stabilize the market. At the same time, we are looking for investment in the future sources of income. We have been devising some policies and plans, and we have been exerting to this our full efforts to this end. And to this end, we are going to have great investment in nurturing the talents in the semiconductor industry so that our industry can be leading one in the world. And also our administration service will be elevated. Moreover, we will vitalize the digital data economy, and we want to also seek towards establishing a digital e-government platform. And also our efforts ranged in various sectors, including R&D investment in space, bio, as well as high-tech industries. However, today, at the fields, we have many business entrepreneurs and businessmen who are working on each of their sectors. I believe that they are facing great difficulties amid the high interest rate and high inflation. And today we would like to really explain to the public what kind of policies the government has. So we would like to explain this in full detail. So up until now, our emergency meetings were held closed doors. However, today's session is being live cast nationally. Of course, this will not be the end of such a session. We will have more sessions going forward, and I sincerely ask for the understanding of the public to bear with us, even if we have areas that we lack, and we ask you to pay great attention to the announcements or the presentations that will be made by our ministers, and also our Deputy Prime Minister will also give his own remarks. Please do not get too nervous. It's just a session to be honest with the public, to honestly explain to the public. And we met with, we saw some media articles, and some of these articles said that I would have some spontaneous questions to our ministers. However, I will also be humble like all of the public, and I will be listening to your opinions. And let us now convene our meeting.
네, 안녕하십니까. 경제수석입니다.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am the Senior Secretary for Economic Affairs. As the President has said, we have carried out 10 rounds of such emergency meetings, and they were all closed doors, except for the President's opening remarks. However, today, we are going to disclose in full detail to the public. It will be live streamed, and to this end, I hope that it will be an opportunity for us to showcase how the government is devising policies. Our meeting will be discussed in 5 sectors. So the President and the ministers will be carrying out their discussions. Before we delve into our meeting, our Deputy Prime Minister will be briefing us on some of the economic conditions that we are facing now. Good afternoon. I am Deputy Prime Minister, and let me now bring you some updates on the economic conditions as well as our measures. Lately, here at home and abroad, we have been witnessing high interest rates, high inflation, as well as high exchange rates, and we are seeing great high level of economic volatility as well as uncertainties. Globally, we see global institutions or international bodies. They have been downgrading the size of our trade volume and forecast of our economy, and they also forecast a difficult situation even for next year. In the meanwhile, we still have many issues regarding regulations, labor, and education. These systematic challenges are also halting our growth, and this has been lowered to the 2% rate. We are going to have to discuss ways to break through this comprehensive economic crisis, and of course it is very important that we deal with the domestic supply and services. However, we need to also increase our exports. Exports, when it came to South Korea, it was a major driving force of our economic growth, and in the 1999 in the financial crisis, and also in 2010 during the international financial crisis, as well as the COVID-19 crisis, these exports helped us to reach a breakthrough in such difficulties. Nevertheless, we are seeing a large downturn and slowdown in the amount of exports. In particular, our semiconductor exports, which account for 20% of our exports, is decreasing, and this is also decreasing the amount of revenue of our companies. And I believe that this will also maintain for the time being, and the semiconductor cycle will be also in a downturn, and I believe that we will face some difficulties in the exports in this sector as well. And the government will need to take measures to take this crisis into an opportunity, and we need to discover new areas of growth as well as driving forces for exports. And nowadays, we are seeing the semiconductor and the secondary cell battery being pinpointed as the major forces of economic pillars, and we will be looking at these sectors, including the nuclear power, as well as the potential new industry, including overseas construction, tourism, contents, and new bio, as well as AI and digital, as well as new engines of growth for our economy. So these will be the focus of our discussion.
Thank you very much. That was our Deputy Prime Minister. Well, from now on, based on his comments, we are going to talk about our key industries as well as semiconductors, digital and bio, as well as SMEs, venture, and tourism and contents. The first is our key industries. Our Minister of Industry, could you please give us an explanation? Hello, I am the Minister of Industry. At the moment, we are seeing a very downturn in the economy as a whole because of the high interest rate and also the FX rate, and this is limiting the industry and the businesses, and our export market is also shrinking. So upon such challenges, we are looking at a quite a dim picture actually, but we do find some promising industries, so it's a mixture of good and bad. Semiconductors, steel or oil industries, such the high price and world economic landscape is having a negative influence. However, for the other industries such as secondary cells and semiconductor, we are facing some good avenues. So the semiconductor industry, which was the backbone of our economy, is facing some challenges. But in the past, we also had some challenges, didn't we? Yes, that is true, because the semiconductor industry is a cyclical industry. So at the moment, of course, we are facing some challenges. However, it is still the backbone of our economy. And we had abundant amount of investment that was put into this sector in the latter half of this year. So at the moment, we are seeing some downfalls. However, we are turning this into an opportunity, and at the moment, the government is putting 340 trillion Korean won of investment, and to do this, by doing this, we are going to expand the domestic investment into this sector. Okay, let me elaborate, because investment is all about timing. So the companies who would like to invest, it has to have a lot of supports for them to overcome some difficulties, and therefore we need government agencies to support their efforts. So investment, for it to lay out as planned, we need to have a one-stop investment support from the government agency, so they can come to a one spot that they can seek help, especially in the semiconductor sector. The infrastructure development as well as manpower development, we are reflecting 1 trillion Korean won investment, supplementary investment to this sector, and we are asking the National Assembly for their passing this bill, and we are also expanding some tax benefits for this sector.
The
semiconductor sector is very important in terms of where they are placed in the world economy and the world market. And also for this, we need legislative support. So we would like to ask the Minister of Land and Transport on this. As the Minister just pointed out, the key sectors, especially including the semiconductor, we need the location, the venue for these industries. And at the moment, we need to coordinate our efforts with the local governments in order to cater the needs of the semiconductor factories. So I would like to propose that we can foster a complex industrial complex from the central government's point of view. So I would like to ask the SME Minister. At the moment, we have more than 1,000 SMEs that we find it very important. The semiconductor, some of the people see that semiconductor is a sector where big companies are playing the big roles. However, we have more than 1,000 semiconductor companies that are doing very well. So therefore, we are going to focus our investment into these 1,000 companies. And system semiconductors, we have small fabless companies that design this system semiconductor. So we're going to support them as a one team and back them up for them to step up their development. What about the President? Do you have anything you would like to elaborate? Well, let us go on for a little bit more. The semiconductor supply chain is very important, and it is a strategic asset of Korea. Now, let's move on to our secondary cell industry. And as the Minister mentioned, the outlook looks very rosy. So could you please update us on the secondary cell industry? Well, at the moment, the industry condition looks very good. It is growing into a key industry, and also the Korean companies have a cutting-edge technology in terms of secondary cells. And the export amounts to 560 trillion won, and we have the IRA Act from the U.S., which we believe the battery industry will benefit from this. The global automobile companies are actually lining up in front of our secondary cell companies for the cells. So we believe that this industry could become the main pillar for our economy in the future. Well, the secondary cell industry is in a very increased uptrend. However, what is most important would be to secure the minerals and how we are going to procure the lithium and mangan. So how are we going to procure these key minerals? We are actually at the moment dependent on China and so on. So if we have some problems in terms of supplying such minerals, then this would be a problem. Therefore, the government is putting our efforts into diversification of these mineral sources. And the supply chain for these minerals, we need to have a measure or device to stabilize this supply chain. And to do this, we are looking into policies, and also we are promoting a legislation framework to stabilize the minerals supply chain. Also, we are making a system in terms of stably procuring such minerals.
Canada, Australia, and Indonesia. I've met with the leaders of such countries, and we have discussed the issue of supplying the key minerals, and I asked for their support and cooperation. As for the key minerals that they produce, we buy some of them. However, in some cases, we need to buy the mines as a whole, and this, of course, takes a lot of time. Therefore, we need to discuss the issue of timeliness and to ensure the timely supply of these minerals, and therefore stabilizing the supply chain is very important, and this is why we need a comprehensive strategy. Of course, timing is very important, and globally the supply chain, depending on the types of key minerals and depending on their origins, we need to map these out in a global map. And we need to be fully prepared. We need to look at the transactions as well as the many of the status quo, and we need to be fully prepared. And as Mr. President has said, the key minerals is actually the seed to the high-tech industry. Without these key minerals, we cannot grow the trees of the high-tech industries. Therefore, the government is looking into, and we are also establishing MOUs with our counterparts in Canada, Indonesia, as well as Australia. And in domestic companies, as for parts and the equipment, and here we are going to provide measures to really internalize and to build these technologies here at home. And I believe that the secondary cell battery industry is something that we need to grow and develop further. We need to also bolster our procurement of key minerals as well as major sources and major strategies so that we can upgrade our level of the secondary cell battery, and this will be announced in November. And regarding the basic act of the procurement of key minerals, we need to have a bipartisan support and interest. And we believe that this has been shown already, and we will also take our full efforts. I don't think we have our foreign minister here, but one of the most important factor is diversification of the sources of key minerals. So I ask the Trade Ministry to look at the supply chain as well as some of the detailed measures and strategies. So I want you to review these on a regular basis, and I also want you to cooperate and exchange this with the rest of the ministries and companies. We will also cooperate fully with our other ministries, including the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And let us now move on to the shipping industry. Luckily, our shipping industry is having a rosy outlook right now. However, in the sectors among companies, we say that there are some challenges, including lack of manpower and so forth. So I want you to address some of these issues. First of all, from the Labor Ministry. I am the Minister of Labor. Right now, in the shipbuilding industry, we are seeing a significant lack of number of manpower. So we need to enable more people to go into that industry, or we need to make sure that we have a full supply, a full range of supply of manpower. So we want to expand. We have already expanded the extended overwork times period system for these industries to 180 days. And going forward, we will also bolster necessary support measures. And going forward, we will also expand the pool of international workers, and we will make sure that we will prioritize the issuance of work visa for these people when they work in the shipbuilding industry. I am the Financial Services Commission Chairman, and of course, I believe that they need to have full backing when it comes to the financial systems. As for the shipbuilding and the secondary cell battery, we will make sure that we are going to prepare RG issuance of 25%. And as for the issuance of this, we will make sure that there is no challenges due to the issuance of such RG. And in relation to the shipbuilding industry, we have seen a surge, dramatical surge in the number of bidding and orders. And these orders come from the vessels, the eco-friendly vessels, as well as high-tech vessels. And I believe that shipbuilding industry can be a major source of income, could be a major cash cow, second to the secondary cell battery. batteries. And to this end, I want to highlight the importance of the ecosystem of the shipbuilding industry. We need to work together to enhance the competitiveness of the smaller shipbuilding yards. And to this end, we are leading in the ecosystem vessels, so we want to expand the market share to 90% from the current 60 to 80%. Due to time constraints, we will also now proceed to other industry discussions. I believe that cooperation is needed going forward. We have discussed the chip as well as secondary cell batteries and shipbuilding. And now we are going to look at some new growth industries, including nuclear power as well as defense. How are some outlook? As you know, in August, we won the bidding for Egypt. And this bidding, this order, is the first in the past 13 years since we established the bidding and signed the deal with UAE in 2009. So many countries are now having high hopes for our nuclear development. And going forward, we are going to expand the number of orders, and we will work with other industry players, including companies, and we will also exert our full efforts. And Mr. President, when you went to the NATO summit, many of the leaders had great interest in the nuclear power plant, and we have the chairman, the president of the Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power Corporation. Can you provide us some explanation? Yes, I am the president of Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power. I went to Egypt, Czech, and Poland, and I signed some deals with these countries regarding our nuclear power plant. We had in-depth discussions, and as Mr. President met with other leaders in NATO summit, he had a lot of questions from the NATO leaders, and many countries around the world, they have high hopes for Korea's export of nuclear power plant technology. And we are going to be the first. We are going to sign the first deal to export our nuclear power plant technology in Europe. And I believe that when it comes to the exports of this industry, the order tendering country, they require a package of deals, including technology as well as other equipment. So I have high hopes that the government will provide full support.
Thank you very much. As the Korea Hydro Nuclear Power CEO said, the power plant is more of a comprehensive project where this national involvement is required. So we need a package that we can export. And from the Trade Ministry, we are going to coordinate efforts with related government agencies and ministers. And in the future, in order to increase such export, we have to have a better competitiveness in the ecosystem of the whole power plant, nuclear power plant industry. So that we are going to support the industry so that it can gain competitiveness. And this market is growing, so therefore we are going to make this and nurture this industry as one of the key industries of the national economy. As you just mentioned, the nuclear power plant industry is in fierce competition, and the related ministers are going to put efforts into coordinating the concerted efforts with other ministries, and I believe that we can have great outcomes. So with this, we also have defense industry that we're looking into. So please, from the Minister of Defense. So an evaluation of this year, we saw fourfold increase this year, which was 13 billion Korean won, and it created 10,000 jobs and also 38 trillion won. And at the moment, the defense industry is operating their production to their fullest, and it is very, very vitalized.
안보실장입니다.
Hello, I am the Secretary for Security, and I also agree that we have a very bright outlook. However, what is important here is to have a better dissemination of this great capacity of defense industry into other industries, and therefore spread this export to other countries as well. And this defense industry itself has its basis on the reliability and reliance of different countries, how much faith they have in other industries, in other countries. So we need to look into ways to foster this aspect. I also agree with Secretary, and let me elaborate. The Defense Ministry is also looking into how to foster and train the equipment operation, and we are making a package so that we can provide it to the exporting countries. So we would like to expand our exports to other areas, and so that this could become one of the future growth engines of the economy. Do you have something to add, Mr. President? The nuclear power plant and defense industry are very much intertwined into the national security. Energy security is of significance, and due to Ukraine war, the European countries are having difficulties in terms of Russian LNG, and also the oil price and LNG prices are skyrocketing. Therefore, they are trying to retrieve to the nuclear power plant, and this is what I felt, and I have great conviction in this direction. And the APR 1400 plant, we made a booklet, information booklet, and I brought this to explain to other heads of countries. And as someone mentioned, this is a transaction between countries. So the Korean hydro-nuclear power, as well as the government, should be in tandem to work towards this export of the nuclear power plant, not only the power plant itself, but the know-how to run this power plant should be also included in this package. And Poland and Czech Republic, they required a package which includes even to the operational know-how, transfer of know-how. So we should come up with a very sophisticated strategy in terms of nuclear power plant export. And due to the Ukraine war, the European countries, they have great interest. They are having greater interest and more appetite for investment into this nuclear power plant industry. And they are taking this opportunity to make new nuclear power plants. And this is closely related to the security issue. So the package export deal of nuclear power plant, we need to work towards this direction with the Defense Ministry at the center and other government agencies working and mustering their strength together. And we also have to have a legislative review on such exports. Thank you.
국방부장관님하고 안보실장께서
the
경제 활성화 추진 전략 및
Defense
점검에
Minister and
참석하신 것 자체가 제
the
생각으로는
Security
굉장히
Senior Secretary for Security, these two
또 저희
gentlemen
경제부처
attending this
분들은
meeting
다들
is something
든든하게
new, but I believe we find it very promising. Maybe we have to change the name of the ministry, maybe to a Defense and Industry Ministry. Well, today we're talking about the strategies to bolster the economic affairs, but the welfare ministry, maybe we have to really look at the welfare ministry as a national welfare service ministry. As such, all ministries, for instance, the Land and Transport Ministry, maybe they should become a transport infrastructure ministry, meaning that we really have to look at this from a very 360 point of view. And they are not only looking into their own sectors, but they're widening their perspective. So thank you very much. So that was on the key industries. Let's move on to the overseas construction industry. The Minister of Land and Transport, could you please?
Yes, we have seen a hike in the oil prices. Therefore, we are having great difficulties, and we are seeing great demand for construction in these Middle Eastern countries. And therefore, this is a great timing for us to enter into and tap into this market. And we aim to become $50 billion in overseas order annually, and also we will become world's fourth major construction powerhouse. And to this end, until now, we have had individual companies exerting their full efforts. However, together with the private sector, the government will make a team to have our target, and we will have a one-team Korea support group, and we will go out on our first overseas trip in November. Led by my initiative, we will accompany 30 venture companies as well as companies to Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia is a country where the size of the new city construction order worth some $500 billion is currently being initiated. So we want to lay that foundation. And of course, the increase in oil prices leads to very negative news. However, there are also some positive news coming out of it because this is closely linked to some infrastructures. And we also have the deputy head of the policy for construction from the Land and Transport Ministry. Can you explain to us a little more? I'm Kim Sang-hoon. As you mentioned earlier, overseas construction goes in line with the flow of the oil prices. And we have the correlation index, and this is 0.84. Therefore, there is a high correlation. So if the oil prices increases, there is more increase of the demand for overseas construction. And we need to exert our full efforts if there are some demand. So when the oil price is increasing, it is time to go overseas. 0.84, it means that 1 actually equals 100% of correlation. So I believe this is quite a high figure. This is not only limited to the oil-producing companies, or is it just general for all global companies, countries, that is? So is the oil price closely linked to the infrastructure market in all global countries, or is it just limited to the oil producers? Mostly the oil prices and the construction, when we look at the correlation between the two, it's not only the countries that have high amount of oil or petroleum, but it's the countries with the key minerals, including nickel, such as the Indonesia. And of course, they have great demand of construction for Ukraine as well, because they need to rebuild their country. And we have looked at that correlation figure. Of course, we need people, we need also strategies to tap into these opportunities. As our chief president of the Hydro and Nuclear Corporation has said, we need packages. I believe that Korea is outpacing in this area, because in the areas of nuclear power plant and defense and IT, I believe in these sectors, many people are turning their eyes to Korea. So if we have a package of these items, we believe that we will be very attractive. And I believe that we need to establish one team with members of the government and the private sector as well as academia to really head on and tap into these opportunities. Up until now, we had many companies exerting their full efforts. However, sometimes we have too much fierce competition amongst our companies. However, we need to not only compete with just low-income countries like China or India, but we need to look at the high value-added sectors, including the strategies, the management, and I believe that this should be the source of our revenue. And this means that we need to have an combined measure of construction and investment. So therefore, I want the Deputy Prime Minister to also move over and to have great interest in the investment on these areas. And in the past, the people Korean laborers who worked in Middle East, they earned a lot of money. However, the 52-hour work week is also implied and also applied to that foreign country where we are carrying out that policies. So this is also hindering great further development, as because these foreign countries, they have different policies in terms of the work week. So we need to give them some authority and to also relax the regulations. I believe that this is something to be dealt with by the Labor Ministry. I really need full coordination. If the Labor Minister, if you have any ideas, I believe that you could give us some ideas or opinions or feedback so that the people who are exerting their full efforts on the site can carry out their businesses. I felt that the desire or that need in your eyes. So I am also hearing such a feedback in on the field. I believe that having a stable package of fund, investment, and construction, this is very important. So I believe that we need to have high-tech technology, but on top of that, we need to have very sound fiscal and financial support. So centering around the Korea Exim Bank, as well as our governments, we will provide full support to that end. Moreover, as for emerging countries, we have the EDCF. We have that support as well. I think we can also have that in play, and I believe that this will help us to also secure more orders going forward. Moreover, in the private sector, we have the infrastructure promotion, the need, and we have also many regulations that hinder further development. We will also ease and lax some of the regulations in needed areas. We want you to go and win more orders going forward. Okay, now I turn to the labor minister. As you mentioned, I believe that the foreign countries where the Korean companies are working, I believe they are also under the 52-hour work week, and we need to give some exemptions. So we will also provide some systems there where they can have some exemptions. We are going to extend that from the current 90 days to 180 days. This is a dramatic increase, but I want to make sure that we need to have a protection so that their health conditions do not worsen, just as the Mr. President has said. Of course, enhancing the conditions of the laborers are very important. I believe that the foreign construction is booming. However, in Korea, it's the other way around. So those with the real demand, they are having difficulties, but I want to really help the overseas construction to lead the construction market here in Korea as well. So I want to go over some of the measures here at home. In November, we will be having additional easing of the property regulated areas, and of course the loans of the intermediate payments. We will be expanding this to 1.2 billion. And as for those who have won the apartment application, we need to lengthen the selling of their pre-owned properties. We want to make sure that this can also reflect the real demand of the people. So I want to make sure that they have greater demand boosted, and of course this needs great help from the FSC. This is only possible when we have great support from the financial authorities. So we need your coordination and your support.
So, yes, speaking from FSC, recently the real estate market is on a downturn, and we have a lot of worries about it. And I believe this is a very important issue to stabilize the property market. And to this end, we are in close discussion with the Ministry of Land and the easing of regulation from the ministry. In accordance to this, we used to have a very stringent regulation. However, the conditions and landscape had changed a lot, and we are going to also have a easing of regulation, which is for the owners of one property. We are going to relax the LTV to 50%, and we are going to allow mortgage loan for apartments over 1.5 billion Korean won. So with the regulations in place, we're also going to in cooperation with the Ministry of Land, we're going to give some land, give some room. So the Ministry of Land is achieving a lot from this meeting. So I really would like to ask for your efforts. Yes, I will do my best. So our next topic would be the SME and venture companies. So the Minister of SME and Venture, this SME and venture companies are very important in terms of making jobs for the youth. Well, I prepared some slides, and as we all know, for the last 3 years, as we were going through the pandemic, the world was struggling a lot, but ironically, the world has also seen a lot of digitalization of non-face-to-face, and the advanced countries, they are securing the related technologies, and they are doing a lot and putting a lot of efforts in terms of fostering related industries. For Korea, the digital capacity, and we have a lot of venture companies that have the related capacities, and we have 100 billion revenue of this industry, and some of them are really big that could be compared to Samsung. So when we really focus on nurturing these companies, I believe we can make this into a key industry. So what are the tangible strategies that you have? Well, we're going to announce in a short period of time. We have like mobility or automation and AI and system semiconductors, which could be the key technologies. And for the 2 years, we are going to invest 2 trillion won, and we are going to explore more than 1,000 countries, and we are trying to expand the private sector and nurture not only the companies itself, but also the investment companies. And at the moment, it is 6 trillion won, and this would be enlarged to 8 trillion won by next year to invest in the venture companies. And we are going to, together with the private sector, provide a one-stop service. Well, when we are talking about startups or ventures, we think about manufacturing companies. However, as the president said, we have looked into the smart farms as well. And do we have, because I know that you were preparing some strategies in terms of supporting these smart farms. Well, to innovate the agricultural sector, we have to make use of the digital technologies, and we have to expand these smart farms. And to do this, we have to have 2 conditions as a prerequisite. One is to have good number of young farmers who have great ideas and innovative ideas. So we believe by 2027 we are going to have about 3,000 young farmers who will establish their smart farms. And at the Innovation Valley, we have a 2-year training course for them for free, and after they complete this training, we are also going to have a strategy and policy to back them up so that they can establish their companies. And we believe the necessities and equipment and service for smart farms, how we're going to foster this venture companies who can support these equipment. And the market size by 2025 would be 22 billion, and the CAGR would be more than 10%. So the Korean companies that can really lead this market in the global scene, we are going to nurture 5 smart agriculture unicorn companies, and we are going to make use of AI and also support the R&D. And the Southeast Asian countries and Middle East, they have great interest in smart farms, so we are going to look into ways to and also come up with policies to export our smart farms to these areas. So for those who are interested in smart farms, where should they contact? We have 4 around the country, the innovation valleys, and at these valleys we have startup nurturing centers. They are in Kimjae, Miryang, Sangju, and Goheung. These are the 4 valleys that you have. You can look them up on the internet, and if you can contact them, they will provide you with information in terms of how you can get the education and how to establish your companies. I believe you could have more effort, you could put more efforts in terms of promoting these valleys. So with the high interest rate and difficult finance industries, I believe there were a lot of worries in terms of how to fund these companies. So could you please introduce the FSC president how to support this initiative? Well, the flow of it is that at the moment, after the inauguration of the administration, we looked into the difficulties of the common people and the small business owners. And at the moment, the SMEs are also suffering from difficulties. So we are having a comprehensive support package of 50 trillion won, and this would be announced in some days later. And also, we are putting a lot of efforts in terms of supporting the vulnerable, and I would like to make two comments on this. One is that because of the high interest rate, we have this loan program with fixed interest rate, and we are going to ease the criteria to provide this loan, and the income band would be enlarged to 100 million won, and also the banks, the mortgage loan the banks made, and these people who got the mortgage loan, they can face difficulties, and if they have these type of difficulties, they can prolong the principal repayment period to 3 years, and we are looking into ways to ease this criteria together with the banks. The SMEs, for them to stabilize their business, we were in close talks with the FSC, and I really appreciate his contribution today. So let me touch upon the venture investment fund. Until August this year, we gained the fund, we raised the fund, the highest ever. However, the passion for investment is also dwindling, and we have about 8 trillion won of this fund left. However, we have to really pay attention to this dwindling will to invest in SMEs. And because of this sluggish economy, we should not just sit and watch this reduction of will. So we need to have a policy to really rekindle the will for people to invest in SMEs. And we are going to announce the investment draft of investment in November.
I will make sure that we will provide full support. And now I would like to mention from the government perspective, the master funds that the government provides. We are providing full support. I believe that this is also important. However, we want to make sure that the private sector fund needs to flow into the venture companies. And this, in order to enable for this to come true, we need to make the financial conditions more brighter. And right now, the Venture Investment Act is being pushed by the National Assembly. So if this is passed by the lawmakers, I believe that we can have more tax benefits for those who have invested in the venture companies, and we will also provide full taxation incentives for those who invest in the master funds. So this is our policies going forward. Of course, taxation support and tax benefits is very needed. I believe that they are essential to boost investment. And for the investment revenue, I believe that we need to give bold tax benefits. Of course, this is not a loss for the government because this helps us to boost the amount of investment. As we are gathered here today, it was the finance minister as well as the FSC who hear many complaints from the companies. However, I want the SME ministry to also lead great tax benefits
펀드 조성을 확실히 하도록
Yes,
하겠습니다.
I would make sure
논의가
that
뜨거워지면서
becomes
예상보다
true.
시간이 지연되고
We
있다는
are a
쪽지가
little
저한테
bit
세도되고
behind
있습니다. 그래서 다들 좀
schedule.
말씀을 간략하게 해주시고
So I want
중기부장님
you to make your sentences and answers shorter.
아마 부탁도
Any
하실 게 하나 더
other
있으실 것
to
같아요.
add from the SME industry? I have one more thing to ask. So it's regarding to the 52-hour work week. In relation to the companies with less than 30 employees, we are seeing the extended additional work overtime work system for 2 more years. And we also have the statements from the companies. They want an abolishment of the system. What can you give us as an answer? Okay, I am the labor minister. We have had more than 200,000 jobs, lack of jobs. However, the small business, they had to close because they could not find and recruit workers. Therefore, as for small businesses with less than 30 employees, we have had the extension of the additional overtime work system. However, this the due date of this is this year. And in order to resolve this issue within this year, we are going to extend this for the next 2 years. We are going to push forward with the laws and amendments of the laws. And we will make sure that, as President has reiterated, we will make sure that we highlight the importance of protecting the workers' health. And in, this year, we have employed about 70,000 foreign employees. However, we are going to expand this to 110,000 next year. And I will make sure that they are supplied to the industries that have a severe lack of manpower. And of course, we are going to also review some measures to help boost the job market here in Korea. And due to time constraints,
일단 고용노동부장관님께 제가 또
I
중개부장관님을 대신해서
want to, on behalf of the SME Minister, I want to thank the Labor Minister for that answer. Let us now move on to our next sector. The tourism and contents industry is our fourth sector of discussion. Currently, we are having a great interest in Korean wave, the K-wave across the world. First of all, I want to ask the Culture Minister regarding tourism. Yes, due to COVID-19, the tourism industry has been suffering greatly, and many of the people within this industry, they had to go through great sufferings as well. First of all, amid this crisis, we need to have a great conviction to overcome these difficulties. I want to applaud the efforts put forth by the people in this industry. Of course, we need to expand our tourism industry, and of course, we have a key to that solution, and this is which is being garnered by the entire international community. This is K-culture and K-tourism and K-IT. So we need to converge all of these into making a very vibrant strategy and policy. We need to revive the culture infrastructure, and we will also provide necessary support.
네, 그리고 지금 거기에
And
포함해서
also in line with that, we need the K-culture. In relation to that, can you elaborate more on that as well?
K-culture의 다양한 콘텐츠와
Yes, there are many diverse contents within K-culture, and we are going to make a convergence of strategies so that we can make Korea a nation that people want to visit and people want to experience. I want to really embrace and leave a great mark in the minds of our global citizens so that they can come to Korea. And we want to increase the competitiveness of K-tourism. And we will utilize the Cheongwade, the Blue House. We are going to make sure that this will become a major landmark of K-tourism. And centering around the Blue House, around the Gyeongbokgung Palace and Gwanghwamun area, we believe that there are many museums and art museums. And in Pyeongchon and Seocheon of Seoul, we want to make these areas sophisticated so that they can also be established into a tourism cluster. On top of that, we want to to also lead in the easing any regulations in the visa issuance. And we also need to have great support from the Labor Ministry as well. So can you elaborate on anything that you could say? Of course, I believe that people who come to Korea, they use the flights, the airplanes. We need to expand the number of international flights. And we have seen some rebound starting from July, and we aim to reach 60% by year end. And I believe that this is excluding China, so this is a great significant increase. And we are going to also look after the safety of the training of the people who are working in the airline companies. We will make sure that they are provided with great support. And as for Deputy Prime Minister, I heard that you also provided some tech support for tourism industry. Do you have anything to add? Yes, as you mentioned, in order to attract foreign tourists, this is very important because many countries around the world are seeing a downturn in the number of COVID-19 patients, and many are coming into Korea, and many are going out to foreign countries from Korea as well. So in order to attract foreign tourists, as for the accommodations, we are going to have a repayment system of the additional tax, and we are going to extend this due date by 3 more years to until 2025. We will make sure that more international tourists can come to Korea, and we need to also nurture and discover new innovative ventures here in Korea, and we need to also provide a fund of 5,000 trillion by 2027. We will provide full support.
Thank you very much. The tourism minister, you touched upon the visa waiver. Could you please elaborate a little bit more on that? And in terms of that, the nurturing of K-culture industry. About visa issuance, a lot of foreign tourists, they would like to come to Korea. And these people who want to come to Korea, the K-culture visa system would be established. And a lot of people who are going abroad, we have electronic tourism visa, and we are going to make use of this. And regarding the content industry, I would like to ask you a question actually. Why the content industry? What is the identity and what is the competitiveness of the K industry, K-culture industry? And why are we focusing on this? It's because the content industry itself is at the forefront of our export industries. As of 2020, the export amount was 11.9 billion won, and this was up a lot from 7.3 billion won, and this is also has earned the recommendation, and this earned the assessment that this become one of the future growth engines. And with the movie Parasite, Squid Game, and also BTS and Blackpink, they are dominating the global culture scene. And from our ministry, we are going to invest 4.8 trillion won for the next 5 years. And we're also looking into regulations, just like looking at the Squid Game for Netflix. Learning from this experience, we're going to support the IP, intellectual property policy. So we are going to look forward to a reinvigoration of this K-content industry. So next, let us move on to the digital, bio, and aerospace industry.
그 디지털 산업의 육성을 위해서 준비하고 계시죠?
So,
말씀
Minister
부탁드립니다.
of Science and ICT,
과기정통부는 우리나라의 미래
our
먹거리를
ministry
준비하고 있는
is looking
부서이고요.
into
여러
our
가지
future
전략
growth
기술을 준비하고
engines, and
있는데
we have a lot of
그중
strategic
디지털
technologies that we are
분야에
looking
대해서
into.
간단하게
And let me
말씀드리겠습니다.
touch upon the
뭐
digital
디지털 그러면은 핵심은
industry.
인공지능입니다.
The core of it is
인공지능은
AI,
우리 생활
and
가까이 와
AI
있습니다.
is actually very
그래서 이
near to our
인공지능을
common
위해서
lives.
쉽게는 우리가
And
뭐
the
음악도
AI,
받고,
through
영화도
AI,
받고,
we
심지어
download
식품도
music,
받습니다.
we
인공지능
get
구독 시대가
even
됐습니다.
food, and this
이
is a
시대에
subscription
맞는
era
어떤 산업을
that we're living.
적극
And
육성을
we
하고요.
are
아울러서
looking
이제 또
into
고령화
a lot
시대가
of
되면서
industries that
노인들에게
befit
필요한
this
이제
subscription
돌봄이 로봇
economy.
같은 것도
And
필요합니다.
we also need
이런 그
robots for the
인공지능
elderly,
산업을 좀 이렇게
and
활성화하기 위해서
therefore the
좀
AI
발전시키기
industry,
위해서
we
우리나라가
would like
잘하고
to
있는
bring this
반도체
up to
메모리를
another
이용해서
level.
정말
And
세계
using
1위,
the
1위의
semiconductor
저전력 인공지능
chips,
반도체 국가로 되는
we would
그런
like
거를
to
도전을 해보겠습니다.
challenge
그리고
this, make a
인공지능을
challenge
이용해서
to
이런 그
make
벤처
use
기업을
of
육성을
this
하도록 하겠습니다.
low
벤처
electricity
기업
using
스스로가 힘들 수
semiconductor
있으니까
chips.
좀 큰 기업에서 미리
And
많은 데이터를 이용해서 학습한
these
그런 그 인공지능
big
모델을
companies
좀 활용할 수
coming
있게
up with
이렇게 정부가
AI
좀 도와주고요.
models,
또 정부가
these models
이런
that could be
큰
used by
인프라를
small companies,
갖추고
and this is one of
그것을
the
이용할
areas
수
that
있게
the
해서
government can
산업을
help.
일으키도록 하겠습니다.
And by doing
그래서
so, we
현재
can
인공지능 그 시장이 국내 한 2.2조
reinvigorate the
되는데 앞으로
industry
향후 5년
itself. And
내에
at the moment, the market
3배
size is
이상으로
about
키울 수
2.2
있도록
trillion, and in the next 5 years, we believe that we can make this a threefold.
디지털 시대가
In
되면은
the digital
아무래도 이제
era,
국민들이 디지털을 잘 이해해야
the
됩니다.
people
그래서
would
대통령께서 뭐
have to have a
디지털
profound
유튜브
understanding
같은 게
of
관심이 많은 것으로 알고
digital.
있는데
So I know that Mr. President is very much interested in the digital native. So when I meet with the people in the education sector, we talk a lot about coding education at the elementary and middle schools, and education on digital or AI algorithm. And I have a conviction in this because I read from an article that our education is only about half of that of China. So by doing this, we can foster the future of AI technology. And the classes in the schools for these digital literacy courses, we would need to look into the reshuffling of class hours so that we could incorporate these digital literacy education. And this should be something that we have to talk and discuss with the Teachers Association, because they will not be too much of a welcoming position. So we are in talks with the IT ministry as well as education ministry, and especially in the sectors of AI, Canada is overwhelmingly leading this sector in the world. And there, they have an education course from elementary school, and they teach a lot about algorithm, and they have a lot of students who are focusing on algorithm, and in the end, this could be yielding a lot of renowned scholars in terms of AI. So AI is not something that you can just acquire overnight. It has to be educated from the very early years in elementary school. Therefore, to beef up the fleet of people who are educated with AI capabilities, and with the support from the education ministry, I believe that this could be possible. So the Minister of Education Would you like to elaborate? Yes, like Mr. President mentioned, for our children to become digitally literal, since they spend most of their times in schools, it is important to have a school course on digital literacy and AI. And at the moment, we're revising the education curriculum, and one of the main directions in terms of revamping this curriculum is towards this digital education. And by doing this, we would like to make our kids, our children, be very free in terms of utilizing digital technology. And we're also looking into ways to change the textbooks or curriculum or the materials that are used for these elementary school courses. We can transplant the AI technologies or cutting-edge technologies. And as Mr. President mentioned, the class hours, we can make this a twofold for elementary and middle school. And for high schools, we would like to make a new course for digital subject. So if this becomes true and realized, then maybe the students would not need to carry their backpacks. Maybe they would have just one tablet in front of them and they can work and study with this. And also like the science subject, like chemistry, physics and everything, these are also converting into digital physics and digital chemistry. So it's no longer a paper and a pen, but it is transforming into a digitalized education circumstances, and they can also make experiments in a digital manner. So we would need to have a very profound change into digitalization.
Of course, not only these students, but also for military personnel, we need to provide digital software education so that they can be employed in the digital sector even after finishing their compulsory military service. And I believe that data is very important when it comes to AI. And in Korea, we have many high level of hospitals, and they produce high quality of data. And I want to ask some questions to the Welfare Ministry. Yes, I am the Minister of Welfare, and first of all, I want to revamp and overhaul the data-related regulations. And by 2023, we are going to attract 13 trillion Korean won of private investment. And right now, we are going to introduce the new right to send healthcare data to a third party, which is not possible right now. However, under the person's consent, we are going to make sure that the health data of one person can be transferred to a third party. And as for the hospitals, we will make sure that they can utilize these data on infection. And I believe that this can facilitate and boost related research and study. And together with this, we are going to expand national R&D. And the K-Bio Vaccine Fund, worth 1 trillion won, will be established, and 5.5 trillion won will also be established for this fund. And this cluster for the National Bio Foundry for the rapid design and production of vaccines and new drugs will be established by 2023. And we will invest a great amount of money so that we can secure the antibiotics vaccines as well as treatments. This will go up to 700 billion won. And I am ICT Minister. I believe that the new bio industry can create more jobs. And our country has only about 2% of market share. However, I hope that we can expand this to a two-digit number in the next couple of years. And to this end, we are going to establish a national bio foundry for the development of new drugs. And I believe this is very similar to the semiconductor foundry. We will establish this going forward.
이제 반도체 파운드리가 있는 것처럼
So just like there is the semiconductor foundry, we will establish the national bio foundry here in Korea. This will be run by the government, of course, and this will be managed by the government. Don't you think that this should be run by the companies? I don't think that it's very efficient when the country or the public sector continues with its management. First of all, we will make sure that the public sector works as the priming water, and we will transcend that to the private sector. And I believe that the ICT, they agreed to invest 25 trillion for the next 5 years in this area. And next, we would like to go over to the space industry. I believe that we have high hopes, high aims for the space industries. Can you brief us on that? Through space, I believe that we can become a strong power in terms of economy, security, as well as key resources. We will establish new startups, 100 startups in this sector. We will also nurture 30,000 talents in this sector so that they can exert their full efforts. And in order to ensure the success, we need to have the establishment of the Aerospace Administration, which is so-called the Korean NASA. We will provide the necessary blueprint to that. And so far, we have discussed the 5 sectors. And lastly, I want to invite Mr. President. We have about 4 minutes left. I thought the meeting was scheduled for 2 hours.
죄송합니다.
I am very sorry for that.
하여튼 우리 정부의
Right now, my administration,
기본적인 경제 정책의 방향은
basically the direction of our basic economic policy is to have a just market order, and under which that companies can have creativity and autonomy so that they can carry out their business. So the government will be managing that system and supervising that system. Nevertheless, the nation's strategy, industries and technologies, I believe that this was also mentioned by our culture minister, but the tourism itself is also very different from the past. It's not about going to the historical relics or heritages, but this needs to be converged with the content or K-culture, and without this, we can. It is very difficult for us to further boost this in infrastructure and industry. Of course, this must be led by the corporations. However, the government has a role to play. As we switched our infrastructure from the open field market to a building indoor market, when we build such infrastructure, I believe that the transaction and investment within that established infrastructure could be facilitated. So I believe that this is the role of the government. The government needs to protect the people from the cold, from the heavy rain. We need to ensure that they have a platform, for instance, on hardware where they can make transactions and have commerce. Of course, my government, starting from its beginning point, we have been highlighting this through the strong, close coordination and cooperation among the government ministries. However, vitalizing economy is very crucial and vital for us. And of course, investment for the industry and promoting investment and also promoting exports are some of the issues that we need to go together with the public. We need to have some time to have full-fledged discussion and to hear from the opinions of the public. We need to answer the questions that they might have. And by doing so, we can vitalize the economy. So we need to have a very close-knit strategies and policies so that our private sector can excel and run better in better sneakers. So we want them to have better results in running contests. So I want the government to provide a good uniform and good sneakers. And if it's needed, we need to provide good coaches and or technology. So all of the government ministries under my leadership will provide necessary support. The defense ministry will be needs to be changed into the Defense Industry Ministry and also the Land Ministry. Instead of having the regulations, it needs to focus on the transportation and land industry and the culture industry as well. It needs to be transformed into a cultural industry ministry. So we need to change our perspectives. We need to cooperate and to also act as a team.
오늘 뭐 시간이 짧아서
Due to limited time,
장관들의 각
I
부처에서
am not sure if we were able to hear all of the answers or presentations and the ideas that have been prepared by each of our ministers. But if more time is needed, we are going to continue our meeting closed doors.
수고들 많이 하셨습니다.
But thank you for your efforts today. Thank you very much.
Right, that was the live coverage of the 11th Emergency Economic Meeting presided over by President Yoon Suk-yeol at the top office on this Thursday. Now, among the various economic tasks addressed, those related to strengthening the workforce and those aimed at boosting economic growth topped the agenda. We'll bring you details of those talks in our following newscasts throughout the day.